Noah Carson was a 22-year-old massage therapist living in Delray Beach, Florida. Originally from a small town in Wisconsin, Noah moved to Delray Beach seeking better opportunities and a warmer climate. He was known for his good looks, athletic build, and charming personality, which quickly made him popular among his clients, especially older women. Noah had a knack for making people feel special, helping him build a loyal client base. Noah's charm and good looks also brought him into the world of sugar babies, where younger people enter into relationships with older, wealthier individuals in exchange for gifts and financial support. Noah had several sugar mommies, but his primary one was Eleanor Quinn, a 61-year-old holistic healer and self-proclaimed spiritual guide. While Noah enjoyed the benefits of these relationships, they inevitably brought complications and tensions. In the days leading up to his death, Noah was excited about his future. He had recently received a generous gift from one of his clients, a brand new BMW SUV, which he proudly showed off to his friends. He was also planning a trip to Universal Studios with some friends, something he had been looking forward to for months. Noah's Instagram was filled with posts about his plans, from pictures of his new car to countdowns to his Universal trip. Despite the complexities of his life, Noah remained optimistic and full of life. He was known for his infectious smile and positive attitude. Friends and clients alike admired his ambition and drive. Noah's life, filled with dreams and plans, would be tragically cut short in a shocking way. On the morning of August 12, 2016, Noah's neighbor, Evelyn Thompson, a 92-year-old retired librarian from New York, began her day like any other. Evelyn lived next door to Noah in their upscale Delray Beach apartment complex. She often chatted with Noah and had become concerned when she noticed his car, the shiny new BMW, hadn't moved in over a week. Evelyn found it odd because Noah usually had a busy schedule. Around 9 a.m., she decided to check on him. She knocked on his door but got no answer. Worried, she used the spare key Noah had given her for emergencies. As soon as she opened the door, she felt something was wrong. The apartment was eerily quiet, and a faint, unpleasant smell filled the air. Evelyn called out Noah's name, but there was no response. She walked through the living room and into the hallway. When she reached the bedroom, she saw a horrifying sight. Noah was lying on the bed, unresponsive, a small vial and an empty glass on the nightstand. His face was pale, and his body was limp. Evelyn screamed and backed away, her heart racing. Shaking, she ran back to her apartment and called 911, her voice trembling as she explained what she had found. "I think my neighbor is dead," she told the operator. "He's in his bed, and it looks like something terrible happened to him." The 911 operator stayed on the line with Evelyn, trying to keep her calm until the police arrived. Evelyn was in shock, pacing back and forth in her apartment and glancing nervously at Noah's door. She couldn't believe what she had seen. Just a few days ago, Noah had been full of life, talking about his plans to visit Universal Studios and showing off his new car. Within minutes, the Delray Beach Police Department arrived at the scene. Officers secured the area and began their investigation. Evelyn was asked to wait outside while the police did their work. She sat on a bench, shaking and holding her head in her hands, trying to process the tragic event. News of Noah's death quickly spread through the apartment complex. Neighbors gathered outside, whispering and speculating about what had happened. The local news soon picked up the story, with reporters arriving to cover the shocking discovery. Cameras captured the scene, showing the police presence and the concerned faces of the resident. Noah's sudden and mysterious death left everyone in shock, especially those who knew him well. He was young, full of potential, and had a bright future ahead. Now his life was tragically cut short, and his friends and family were left to mourn the loss. The Delray Beach Police Department responded swiftly after Evelyn Thompson's 911 call on August 12, 2016. Detective Jessica Stone led the investigation. Known for her attention to detail, Detective Stone had solved many high-profile cases in the area. Her partner, Officer Ryan Blake, was known for his sharp intuition and calm demeanor. As they entered Noah Carson's apartment, the officers immediately noticed the unsettling silence. The living room was tidy, with no signs of a struggle. Flat-screen TV was mounted on the wall, and a few magazines, including the latest issue of Men's Health, were on the coffee table. The apartment looked normal, but the faint, unpleasant odor hinted at something more sinister. Detective Stone and Officer Blake moved cautiously toward the bedroom where Noah's body was found. The bedroom was well kept, with white linens on the bed and a modern, minimalist decor. Noah's lifeless body was slumped on the bed, his face eerily peaceful. There were no visible signs of a break-in, and nothing seemed out of place. However, the scene was deeply disturbing. It was clear that something had gone terribly wrong. A small vial on the nightstand caught Detective Stone's attention. She carefully picked it up and examined the label, which indicated that it was a herbal tincture. The empty glass next to it suggested that Noah might have ingested something lethal. Detective Stone noted the position of the body and the presence of the vial, indicating that the poisoning had likely been intentional. The police began their methodical investigation, taking photographs of the entire apartment, collecting fingerprints, and searching for any possible clues. They found a set of kitchen knives, but none appeared to be missing. Officer Blake found Noah's phone on the kitchen counter. It was a new model, an iPhone 6S, which might hold valuable information. He carefully bagged it for further analysis. Detective Stone and her team interviewed neighbors, including Evelyn Thompson, to gather more information about Noah's recent activities and any potential visitors. Evelyn mentioned seeing a few of Noah's clients come and go, but nothing seemed unusual. She also noted the new BMW SUV Noah had received recently. The forensic team arrived and began their examination of the body and the apartment. They used luminol to check for traces of blood, even in areas that appeared clean. They also checked for hair, fibers, and other small pieces of evidence that might have been left behind by the attacker. As the investigation progressed, police began to piece together a timeline of Noah's last hours. They hoped that his phone and the security cameras in the apartment complex might provide additional clues. The clean state of the apartment and the lack of obvious evidence suggested that the killer had taken great care to cover their tracks. The tragic scene at Noah's apartment marked the beginning of a complex investigation. Detective Stone and Officer Blake knew they had a difficult case ahead of them. They were determined to find out who was responsible for the young man's untimely death and bring them to justice. The first suspect in the investigation was Eleanor Quinn, a 61-year-old holistic healer. Eleanor was well known in Delray Beach for her larger-than-life personality and her impressive client list, which included several prominent figures in the community. She lived in a lavish home decorated with exotic crystals and spiritual symbols. Eleanor had a reputation for being generous, often gifting expensive items to her friends and clients. However, she was also known to be possessive and obsessive, especially in her personal relationships. It was no secret that Eleanor had been in a sexual relationship with Noah Carson, acting as his primary sugar mommy. She showered him with gifts, including the 70-inch flat-screen TV found in his apartment. When the police first questioned Eleanor, she was calm, but visibly upset. She admitted to being deeply hurt when she discovered that Noah had been seeing other women. Despite her feelings, Eleanor denied any involvement in his death. Detective Stone and Officer Blake conducted the interrogation with care, asking Eleanor about her whereabouts on the night of the murder. Eleanor claimed she was at home alone, meditating and preparing herbal remedies, something she often did to align her energies. She insisted she had not seen Noah for several days before his death and respected his need for privacy. The police dug deeper into Eleanor's background. They found that she had a history of intense relationships, including 2 failed marriages that often ended badly. Former friends and clients described her as charming but controlling. Several mentioned that Eleanor's obsession with spiritual healing could make her very possessive, especially when she felt betrayed. This gave the police a possible motive for her to harm Noah. During the interrogation, Eleanor's demeanor shifted. She became more defensive and agitated, particularly when asked about her relationship with Noah. She accused the police of unfairly targeting her because of her wealth and high-profile lifestyle. Despite her protests, the police continued to press her for details. The police also examined Eleanor's phone records. They found multiple calls and text messages to Noah in the days leading up to his death. Some of the messages were affectionate, while others were increasingly desperate and accusatory. This evidence painted a picture of a relationship that was unraveling, with Eleanor struggling to maintain control. Despite the mounting evidence and Eleanor's increasingly erratic behavior, there was no direct proof linking her to the crime scene. The police needed more concrete evidence to make an arrest. As the investigation continued, Eleanor remained a key suspect, her actions and history keeping her under close scrutiny. The second suspect the police investigated was Maxine Granger, a 58-year-old Australian entrepreneur with a controversial past. Maxine had recently moved to Delray Beach after facing legal trouble in Australia, where she was accused of exploiting workers in her chain of wellness spas. Known for her outgoing and vivacious personality, Maxine was also fiercely protective of her friends and had a temper that could flare up unexpectedly. Maxine had started a relationship with Noah Carson shortly before his death, acting as another of his sugar mommies. She was generous, giving him expensive gifts, including the BMW SUV he received just before he died. When the police questioned Maxine, she was cooperative but guarded. She acknowledged her relationship with Noah and expressed shock at his death. Detective Stone and Officer Blake led the interrogation, asking Maxine about her activities on the night of Noah's death. Maxine stated she had been at a private dinner party with other wealthy attendees and provided the names of several people who could confirm her alibi. During the interrogation, Maxine remained composed, but her demeanor shifted when asked about Noah's other relationships. She seemed irritated and defensive, insisting she had no idea about his involvement with other women. The police found her reaction suspicious, as it hinted at possible jealousy and a motive for harming Noah. The police searched Maxine's home for any evidence linking her to the crime. They found several expensive gifts she had planned to give Noah, including a jet ski, a luxury watch, and a high-end espresso machine, indicating her deep investment in their relationship. They also discovered large withdrawals from her bank account in the weeks leading up to Noah's death. While this alone was not incriminating, it suggested she was heavily involved in Noah's life and willing to spend significant amounts of money on him. They also uncovered a series of text messages between Maxine and Noah. The messages started flirtatious but became more intense, with Maxine expressing frustration over Noah's lack of commitment. Despite Maxine's cooperation and strong alibi, the police remained suspicious of her involvement. Her intense feelings for Noah and possible jealousy provided a motive, but like with Eleanor Quinn, there was no direct evidence linking her to the murder. As the investigation continued, Maxine's actions and connections to Noah kept her under close watch by the authorities. The third suspect in the investigation was Derek Ross, 23-year-old, who had been in a rivalry with Noah Carson. Derek was known in Delray Beach for being competitive and ambitious. He was also a sugar baby, catering to wealthy married couples seeking excitement in their lives. Derek was driven to be the best in his circle, always striving to outdo his peers in securing the most lucrative arrangements. His personality was described as hot-headed, and he had a history of getting into arguments and fights, often fueled by alcohol. The police questioned Derek shortly after Noah's body was found. Detective Stone and Officer Blake led the interrogation, focusing on the nature of Derek and Noah's relationship. Derek admitted that he and Noah had been rivals, both vying for the attention and gifts of the same wealthy women. He described their relationship as tense, but insisted it was all part of the competition. On the night of Noah's death, Derek claimed he was at a local bar with friends, celebrating a recent successful arrangement with a wealthy couple. He provided the names of his friends who could confirm his alibi. However, Derek's reputation for getting into fights after drinking raised suspicions about his possible involvement in Noah's death. The police dug into Derek's background, finding numerous reports of altercations with other sugar babies and clients. Many described Derek as aggressive and quick to anger, especially when he felt threatened or disrespected. This temperament, combined with his rivalry with Noah, gave the police a potential motive for murder. During the interrogation, Derek initially remained calm, but became defensive when asked about his whereabouts and relationship with Noah. He denied any involvement in Noah's death and accused the police of trying to pin the crime on him due to their rivalry. His agitation grew as the questioning continued, suggesting he was hiding something. Detective Stone and Officer Blake searched Derek's apartment for evidence. They found a few items linking him to Noah, including a gold chain that Noah had posted about on social media, saying it was a gift from a client. The police also discovered a series of text messages between Derek and Noah. The messages revealed escalating tensions, with Derek accusing Noah of stealing his clients and threatening to teach him a lesson. The police reviewed security footage from the bar where Derek claimed to have been on the night of Noah's death. The footage confirmed Derek's presence at the bar, but there was a 2-hour gap where Derek was unaccounted for. This window of time raised further suspicion, as it was enough time for him to commit the crime and return to the bar. Despite the mounting evidence and Derek's suspicious behavior, there was still no direct proof linking him to Noah's murder. The police continued to keep Derek under close watch, hoping to uncover more information that could either confirm or clear their suspicions. Hey crime case solvers! Interested in more real-life murder mysteries? Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, and if you have any thoughts about this case or have a case of your own you would like us to investigate, leave us a comment. Stay safe, crime case solvers. On August 18, 2016, 6 days after Noah Carson's body was found, the Delray Beach Police Department received a breakthrough. The day was hot and sunny, temperatures soaring into the mid-90s. Detective Stone and Officer Blake were in the police station when they received a call from a local pawn shop owner who had found something unusual while inventorying recently pawned items. The shop owner told the police that a gold bracelet inscribed with the initials NC had been pawned 2 days before Noah's death. Noah had posted a picture of this same bracelet on his social media, saying it was a gift from a client. Police immediately headed to the pawn shop, located on Atlantic Avenue, a busy area filled with shops and restaurants. Pawn shop records showed that the bracelet had been pawned by Derek Ross. This new evidence placed Derek at the center of the investigation once again. Detective Stone and Officer Blake were determined to dig deeper. The police brought Derek back in for questioning. This time, they confronted him with the evidence of the bracelet. Derek's demeanor shifted from defensive to visibly nervous. He stumbled over his words as he tried to explain why he had the bracelet. Derek claimed that Noah had given it to him as a gift, but the police were skeptical, given their contentious history. Detective Stone and Officer Blake also reviewed security footage from the pawn shop. The footage clearly showed Derek entering the shop and pawning the bracelet. The timestamp on the video matched the date on the transaction records, leaving little doubt about Derek's actions. The police used this footage to challenge Derek's story further. The police also re-examined the security footage from the bar on the night of Noah's death. They discovered that Derek had left the bar for 2 hours, providing him with enough time to commit the crime. This new evidence painted a clearer picture of Derek's possible involvement in Noah's murder. With the bracelet, threatening text messages, and the suspicious gap in Derek's alibi, the police felt they had enough to proceed. Detective Stone and Officer Blake presented their findings to the district attorney, who agreed that the evidence was compelling. The police were now focused on gathering more information to strengthen their case against Derek. They continued to interview witnesses and piece together the events leading up to Noah's death, determined to bring justice for the young man whose life was tragically cut short. On August 22, 2016, the Delray Beach Police Department made a breakthrough in Noah Carson's murder case. Detective Jessica Stone and Officer Ryan Blake had gathered enough evidence to identify the murderer, Eleanor Quinn. Eleanor, the 61-year-old holistic healer, was known for her extravagant lifestyle and powerful personality. Despite her public charm, she had a dark obsessive side, especially in her relationships. The investigation revealed that Eleanor's obsession with Noah had grown dangerously intense. She was furious when she discovered that Noah was seeing other older women and receiving expensive gifts from them, including the BMW SUV from Maxine Granger. Eleanor's jealousy and anger boiled over on the night of August 10, 2016. On that night, Eleanor confronted Noah at his apartment about his new car. An argument erupted, and in a fit of rage, Eleanor poisoned Noah with a lethal dose of herbal tincture. She had prepared the concoction herself, using her knowledge of holistic remedies to create a deadly mixture. She watched as Noah drank the poisoned tea, his body slowly succumbing to the toxin. To make it appear as though Noah had taken his own life, she staged the scene carefully, placing the empty vial and glass beside him. Detective Stone and Officer Blake pieced together the events through witness statements, security footage, and forensic evidence. Eleanor's alibi, which claimed she was at home meditating, fell apart when phone records showed she was near Noah's apartment at the time of the murder. Furthermore, forensic analysis of Eleanor's clothing revealed traces of the herbal mixture, linking her directly to the crime scene. On the morning of August 22nd, police moved in to arrest Eleanor. They arrived at her home, a grand estate adorned with spiritual symbols and crystals. Eleanor was taken by surprise, her confident demeanor cracking as she was handcuffed and led to the police car. She protested loudly, accusing the police of targeting her because of her wealth and status. The arrest sent shockwaves through the Delray Beach community. Noah's family, who had been devastated by his death, felt a mix of relief and sorrow. They were grateful that the murderer had been caught, but heartbroken over the senseless loss of their son. Eleanor's friends and clients were equally shocked, struggling to reconcile the generous woman they knew with the brutal crime she had committed. Eleanor Quinn was charged with second-degree murder. Her trial would reveal more about the dark side of her personality and the tragic obsession that led her to take Noah's life. The arrest marked a crucial step in the quest for justice, but the journey was far from over. Eleanor Quinn's trial for the murder of Noah Carson began in October 2016. The courtroom was packed with journalists, community members, and activists. The case had drawn national attention, with many people intrigued by the bizarre defense Eleanor used. Prosecution, led by District Attorney Matthew Delgado, argued that Eleanor's obsession with Noah had driven her to murder. Delgado, 45-year-old with a reputation for being tough on crime, presented the evidence collected by Detective Stone and Officer Blake. He showed the jury the phone records placing Eleanor near Noah's apartment, forensic evidence linking her to the scene, and the traces of the herbal mixture found on her clothing. Delgado painted a picture of a woman consumed by jealousy and rage, who had meticulously planned and executed the murder. He called witnesses who testified about Eleanor's possessive nature and her increasing anger towards Noah's other relationships. Delgado's argument was clear. Eleanor's jealousy had turned deadly. The defense attorney, Nancy Price, took a different approach. Price, a 50-year-old known for her unconventional tactics, focused on Eleanor's claims that she had no intention of killing Noah. She argued that the herbal tincture was intended to be a mild sedative, not a lethal poison. Price suggested that Eleanor had miscalculated the dosage, turning what should have been a harmless remedy into a deadly concoction. Eleanor herself took the stand, carefully crafting her testimony to portray herself as a victim of circumstance. She insisted she had no intention of killing Noah, and that the incident was a tragic accident. Her testimony was supported by a small group of loyal clients who believed in her innocence. Despite the prosecution's strong case, the defense managed to cast doubt on Eleanor's intent. On November 15, 2016, Eleanor was found guilty of manslaughter instead of murder. The judge sentenced her to 15 years in prison, a decision that shocked many who had expected a harsher punishment. Noah's family was devastated by the verdict. They felt that justice had not been served and that Eleanor's influence had played a role in her lighter sentence. Friends and supporters of Noah were equally outraged, feeling that the trial had turned into a spectacle rather than a pursuit of justice. Eleanor's supporters, however, celebrated the verdict, viewing it as a victory against what they saw as an unjust system. After Eleanor Quinn's trial ended, the lives of everyone involved were changed significantly. Eleanor began serving her 15-year sentence at the Florida Women's Reception Center, a medium-security prison located in Ocala. Her trial had drawn considerable media attention, and she became a controversial figure. She continued to claim that she was a victim of a tragic mistake, using the prison's library to write letters and articles about her experience. Her case remained a topic of discussion in legal circles and among her supporters. Noah Carson's family in Wisconsin struggled to cope with the outcome of the trial. They felt the 15-year sentence was too lenient for a crime as brutal as Noah's murder. The media frequently covered their reactions, highlighting their disappointment and grief. They continued to advocate for harsher penalties for crimes of this nature, and sought to keep Noah's memory alive through community events and online memorials. Derek Ross, who had been a suspect in the case, faced continued scrutiny from the public. Though he was cleared of any involvement in Noah's murder, his reputation was tarnished by his rivalry with Noah and his history of altercations. He struggled to find work and had to deal with the fallout from the media coverage, which painted him as a potential murderer. Maxine Granger, another suspect, returned to Australia and faced her own challenges. The negative publicity from the case affected her wellness business, and she dealt with backlash from customers and critics. Maxine continued to live a quiet life, trying to distance herself from the controversy surrounding the case. The murder of Noah Carson and the subsequent trial had a lasting impact on everyone involved. It brought attention to issues of justice and personal responsibility, leaving a mark on the community of Delray Beach, Florida. The case became a cautionary tale about the dangers of obsession and the tragic consequences it can have. The tragic death of Noah Carson serves as a reminder of how quickly life can be taken away, and how the people we trust can sometimes become our worst enemies. The investigation, arrest, and trial of Eleanor Quinn revealed the dark side of human emotions, where love and jealousy can lead to devastating consequences.